We didn't have a garden, but we decided to grow strawberries anyway. Months later, we realized we hadn't bought any from the store. What started as a small experiment quickly became a reliable source of fresh fruit for our family. The idea came from a simple question: do you really need a traditional garden to grow food? Instead of waiting for the perfect space, we chose to use what we already had: small areas, simple setups, and a bit of creativity. The first step was choosing the right location. Strawberries need sunlight, so we looked for spots that received a few hours of direct light each day. Even without a garden, places like along a wall, near a fence, or in small open corners can work well. Once the space was chosen, attention turned to the soil. Even in improvised growing areas, good soil makes all the difference. A mix of loose earth, compost, and organic material creates the right balance for roots to grow and absorb nutrients. Instead of planting directly into the ground, small growing spaces were prepared using contained areas filled with rich soil. This allowed better control over nutrients and moisture while adapting to the limited space available. Strawberry plants were then placed carefully into the soil, spaced just enough to allow airflow between them. Each plant was positioned so the crown remained above the soil surface, preventing rot and encouraging healthy growth. After planting, the soil was watered deeply. Moisture helps the roots settle and begin establishing themselves in their new environment. During the first days, the plants looked small and fragile. But with sunlight and regular watering, they quickly began to adapt. New leaves appeared, bright green and full of life. The plants started spreading slowly, sending out runners that would eventually form new plants. One of the advantages of strawberries is how they multiply. As runners grow, they can be guided into the soil to create additional plants, expanding production without needing more resources. Care during this stage remained simple. Watering was done regularly to keep the soil moist but not soaked. Too much water can harm the roots, while too little slows growth. To protect the soil, a light layer of mulch was added around the plants. This helped retain moisture and kept the fruit from touching the soil directly. As weeks passed, the plants became fuller. Leaves covered the growing space, and the first small flowers began to appear. These white blossoms are where the fruit begins. With the help of pollinators, or even natural air movement, the flowers slowly transform. Soon, tiny green strawberries started forming. At first, they were barely noticeable, hidden beneath the leaves. But day by day, they grew larger. Their color slowly changed, moving from green to soft shades, and finally to a rich red. Watching this transformation was one of the most rewarding parts of the process. Harvesting strawberries is simple but requires attention. The fruit must be picked at the right time, when fully ripe, to ensure the best flavor. Each strawberry is gently removed by hand, keeping the plant intact so it can continue producing. The first harvest may be small, but it doesn't take long for production to increase. As more flowers appear, more fruit follows. What makes strawberries ideal for small space growing is their continuous production. Instead of a single harvest, they produce fruit over time. This means that week after week, there are always fresh strawberries ready to pick. Over the months, this small setup became surprisingly productive. What once seemed like a limited space turned into a steady source of fruit. Trips to the store for strawberries became less frequent, and eventually unnecessary. The fruit harvested at home was fresher, sweeter, and more satisfying. It went straight from the plant to the table, with no delays. Strawberries became part of daily life, used in breakfasts, snacks, and simple homemade recipes. Maintenance remained easy throughout the process. Removing old leaves, guiding runners, and keeping the soil healthy were enough to keep the plants producing. From time to time, organic material was added back into the soil to maintain fertility and support continued growth. Even without a traditional garden, the system continued working. The plants adapted, expanded, and kept producing. This experience showed us something important. Growing food is not about having the perfect space. It's about using what is available and making it work. With the right approach, even the smallest areas can become productive. Months passed, and the plants kept producing fruit. The harvest didn't stop after one season, it continued. 8 months later, the result was clear. Our family had not needed to buy strawberries at all. What started as a simple test became a long-term solution. It proved that you don't need a garden to grow your own food. Sometimes all it takes is a small space, good soil, sunlight, and the decision to begin. In the end, those small plants did more than grow fruit. They changed the way we see what is possible.